Your parents and teachers probably encourage you to read, but you don't like it and you're confused as to why they stress it so much. So I'm here today to kind of explain it to you, this idea of reading, why it's maybe the first thing that parents or teachers kind of encourage you to do and talk about a lot when it comes to, your development as a student, as a child, as a person. And I'll explain why it's important. I'll explain maybe why you shouldn't do it, and I'll kind of, go through all of that right now in this episode. It'll be a bit shorter today because I don't really have a lot of time to get things done, but hopefully I can get this concept kind of wrapped up a little bit for you so that you can make the decision of whether or not you want to actually spend some time reading or not. So here are some points. First and foremost, it depends on what you read. Reading can be very, very good. It can actually grow your intellect, and that's the main kind of underlying reason. It can make you smarter, make you more knowledgeable because you read things that actually teach you something. But if you read garbage stuff, fictional stuff, then it's not really that useful. But that's why it depends on what you read, but they can help you learn. Books can truly help you learn. And that's why your first books, if you're reading, it'll be like a very intellectual thing like Shakespeare or some older book, because the dialect specifically is more intense and it's harder to read. So it will improve your knowledge of the English language or just intellect. It'll teach you new words, new phrases, new things you can use in your own dialogue, for example. And that's what you would do. Then that's what the importance of it is. That's really the main underlying factors, that like it can help you make you more smarter, and that's really what your parents kind of want. And of course, it's hard to read, right? The difficulty of it, and it's not really as difficult as many other things, but it's a small innate little thing that, like, it's kind of boring, right? You don't really want to do it. It's mundane a little bit, but if you still push yourself to do it, it is still a way to teach yourself a little bit of discipline, rather than just being on phones or devices, screens all the time. It teaches you a little bit of discipline to put your phone down and actually get a book out and start reading. So it does allow you to do it in that way. And of course it does. It gets you something. It gets you looking at something that isn't just a screen, right? And as parents, as teachers, that's kind of what it's trying to do. Because me personally, it's kind of worked out perfectly, because I really hated reading when I was younger. I wouldn't read at all, or I'd read some, like, fictional crappy books. And then eventually I came around when I started reading, like, self-help books, interesting things to me, things that actually taught me things. And then I would write it down. I would actually grow from it and take the teachings and lessons from the books to improve, and reread great books as well that had many great lessons in them. So I actually grown to really love reading a little bit, because I've learned a lot from reading, and I found the types of books that give me that knowledge and give me something interesting to read. Whereas when you're just reading fictional stuff, or you're reading plays, or you're reading intense books like The Catcher in the Rye or something like that, it's complicated, it's complex, and it doesn't really sit with me, and I don't really enjoy it. And that's probably where most of you are right now. It's like, why would I read? I could do literally anything else with my day, right? But it is important. It is important because if you're not, you can look at a physical book rather than a screen. And if you read it for half hour to an hour, that's really all you need. And you kind of get all those benefits, and the consistency of reading every day is also great as well. It's super important to help you just grow in many different ways. So that's that's kind of the gist of the reading importance of it, why you would do it, and why your parents encourage you to do it, because it is a good thing for you, especially if you're a kid. Reading is a very, very good thing for you. If you're maybe under 15 years old, let's say, reading is super good for you, because you're in the prime stage of your development as a person. And if you just spend all that time on TikTok, brain rot, Instagram garbage, or playing a bunch of video games, that's not going to help you grow. And you're going to be subject to that for the rest of your life. But if you spend a good amount of time reading, the idea is that you actually take some of these lessons to actually use in your actual life, and you actually grow from reading. your phones and your screen time benefits you in no ways, reading can benefit you in, albeit a little bit of a smaller way, still something super important to take note of. And of course, if you're reading, it allows you to read the Bible. You're not going to read the Bible on your phone or some sort of a spiritual text. It helps in your spiritual development. It helps you to get to know God. It helps you get to know Christ. For me personally, that's what I've done is I've read the Bible, and I read the Bible every day because I'm always trying to learn, grow, and improve. And it's also helped me understand the language of it, because the language of it can be hard to understand. And of course, so it's built me up in intellect as well, not only in godly understanding and belief in Jesus, but it's built me up in intellect and the way I can actually understand certain words, certain phrases, what they mean, because I've read it. It doesn't have to be the Bible, but this type of religious, spiritual growth you can get, and you can only get it through reading, right? And reading is the tool by which, or the vehicle by which, you can grow yourself up spiritually as well. So that's also super important to note as well. That there is this extra benefit that isn't just, like read a book and it's better than looking at a screen. Reading is also the catalyst for growth spiritually. And of course, I've talked many a time on this podcast about how belief in God is essential to living a great, fulfilling life. And of course, the belief and the hope, in the afterlife as well. I talked plenty about that in previous episodes, so go check them out. But if you're reading, you're going to grow spiritually as well. So that's incredibly important, and that's another huge importance of reading as well. So here are a couple of reasons as to why reading can be a little bit overrated, how it can actually, not really benefit you if you do the wrong things. First of all, when you're reading fictional books, it's really no different to watching movies or shows. There are many movies and shows that have their books, and I know people that watch shows and then read the books. That's wasting time. That's no different than wasting your time watching a show than wasting your time watching a movie. You're gonna get the same type of dopamine hit that comes from like an engaging story. It's the same similar type of feeling, and that's when reading is kind of useless, because there's no actual use to you. It's just something to do that's fun. And if you find fun in that, all good. You can do that, right? But don't think that you're just so much better because you read and other people don't read, but you're reading some crap. Don't trick yourself into thinking that like you're better, right? And that you're actually growing from it. There's no growth in it. It's accept it. If you're going to do it because you actually enjoy it and it's fun, that's different. But accept that that's not actually a benefit of reading, that that's not actually going to help you in any way. And you'd be better off just, doing something else with your time, right? If that's the way you're going to try and read. And of course, if you're not reading fiction and you're reading, self-help stuff or interesting things that can help you grow in some way, but you're not actually taking anything in, you're not actually doing anything that the book tells you, or taking the lessons to heart and learning something from it, then you're also just wasting your time. You're not actually learning from it. The best way to learn from like a self-help book or something that actually, directly teaches you some very important stuff is to read it multiple times, or take notes of it, or, highlight certain sections that are super important. That's how you'll actually find the growth in reading and actually find the importance of it. But if you don't do any of that and you just read it just to read it, you're also wasting your time. You're also not actually taking anything, and there's no use to reading. So just, keep these things in mind when you decide to pick up a book and start reading, what type of a book it is, and you actually have to pay attention to it. So that's the main idea of reading. So, if you're confused as to why parents generally stress reading, it's because it's kind of the first thing they can teach their children, a little bit of discipline, doing something that they don't really want to do. And there are definitely many good benefits of it. But, just be wary, be careful, know that reading can just become something that is just there to entertain you if you use it in the wrong way. And you need to know, right, if it's useful or not. Recognize whether or not it's actually useful or helpful to you in some way or not. And if it's not, then don't bother. Find something else that's more useful to do. Get some work, do some projects, whatever. Do some studying, extra schoolwork, whatever the thing may be. Find that to do and spend your time doing that rather than of course, playing video games, doing all that garbage on your phone. And if reading also falls into that category as well. Sometimes reading is the thing that will allow you to grow and take your eyes off of screens, but sometimes it's not. So just be aware of that, be careful, and just be intentional. Think for a little bit, really analyze your situation and really analyze what you think about reading and how you read. And just make a decision as to what you're going to do moving forward, right? So I'll just kind of wrap up this episode now. Again, it's been a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. Hopefully I got this point across. It's a bit of an interesting topic as well. That's what I try and do on this show. Talk about interesting things, talk about things that will help you grow in some way. And as I grow with you, the audience, as well. And of course I grow with God. And that is the main purpose of this show. So hopefully, I've gotten the point across there. And, just as a final message, if you're a person that doesn't read at all, that hates reading, kind of where I was a couple years ago, where like you would just do anything just to not read a book at all. You don't find any use in it at all. You even have some hatred towards it. That's fine. But just know that what are you doing in your time instead? Right? If you're just wasting your days going around with nonsense, then maybe you should start thinking about trying to take up reading just as a way to learn and grow in some other way, rather than wasting your days on nonsense, right? But if you hate reading, but like you work hard, you have a good job, or you're hustling and you're really trying to make it in this world, or you're going to the gym, you're super physically fit, you're getting stuff done when it comes to your health and whatever pursuit is on, or you're studying super hard in school, whatever your pursuit is on, whatever pursuit that you're on, if you hate reading but you're actually making the most of your time, then you really don't have to worry about it. Honestly, you really don't have to worry about it. But you have to just look at what else you're doing, what you're doing instead of reading, that really makes the difference. If it's all garbage, maybe you should think about it. If you're using your days in a good way and you're being useful with stuff and it's intentional and you're working hard, then you really don't have to worry about reading. So reading is, something interesting. Hopefully I covered everything you need to know about the idea, the concepts. Just, take a look at yourself, take a look at your situation, and figure out, is this something you want to do or not? So, when your parents inevitably come to you and encourage you to do something like that, then you could actually, have an idea as to truly what direction you want to move in.